and you can't overcome that, you're not going to go anywhere because...
Welcome back to the Passion to Paycheck Podcast. On today's episode, we have Marco. What up, Marco?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Doing good. Thanks for coming on the podcast today. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So to get started, go ahead and let the audience know a little bit about yourself and what you're currently working on.
Cool. So my name is Marco Trujillo, and I grew up in McFarland, California. You guys know the running movie, McFarland, USA?
Yeah.
So not a lot of people know about that city, but that's where I kind of like grew up in. And man, now I've been in Bakersfield since I was like 19. I moved over here. So man, that's just a little bit about like my background, where I'm from and whatnot. And I'm going to go ahead and tell them a little bit more about.
Yeah, tell them what you're currently working on.
Cool. So just so you guys get a little bit of background, so I told you guys I was from McFarland, and right after high school, I went into CSUB. I didn't really know like what I wanted to do with my life or anything like that. Like fresh out of school, I would never even think far enough like in the future. I was just kind of thinking like, man, like next week or Friday, you know what I mean, like the weekend. And then I remember it was like the last week of school in high school, and that's when everybody's getting accepted at colleges and everything. And in my class, there was like 3 people. One of them got accepted to Yale. Somebody playing USC, like these big universities, right? And then I was thinking to myself, like, damn, what am I doing with my life? like it hit me like in the last week. And so I like Hail Married it and started applying to a couple different colleges, and the only one that accepted me was CSUB. So that's what I went for. That's where I went, and I went there for like a year and a half. And while I was going to school, I was studying business. You know, like when somebody doesn't know what they want to do, they study business. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. People ask you, like, what are you going to school for? Business. Yeah, you know? And so that's what happened. And while I was going to school, I was working at a car dealership, washing cars in Delano.
Okay.
And I did that part-time for like a year and a half. And then after a while, what ended up happening was I started seeing that the salesman would make way more money than everybody else at that dealership, right? Yeah. I got tired of it just because, like, you guys have had like regular jobs before, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what would piss me off is I would be working, like, no matter how hard I worked, and if the guy who was working with me like was being lazy, we got the same check. And so I would be like, man, I didn't like that, right? And so after a while, I would work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, open till close, every single weekend. So a lot of my friends and like family would ask me like, what are your plans? You know, it's the weekend, this and that. And I couldn't do a lot of things because I was always working. And then Monday to Thursday, I was in school. So I was like super tied up, like gym, school, and just work. And that was basically it. And after when I had just turned 19, and I was like tired of it. I asked the professor, like, I remember asking him one time, like, if I'm studying business, why am I getting taught all these different things that I don't really care about?
And it has nothing to do with business,
right?
Because a lot of stuff they teach you there that says, you know, you're going for business, it has nothing to do with business,
right?
Yeah.
And so after a while, like it didn't make sense, you know what I mean? Like I was doing what everybody told me to do, but in my mind, it was like, do I really want to do this, or am I just doing it because, like, it's what I'm supposed to do, right? And so, I like, to go back to it, the salesman, I started seeing them make a lot of money. And there was this one guy, he broke the record at that time. This was like 2016. And he broke the record of most cars sold at that dealership. And he made 16 grand that month. To me, when he told me that he made 16 grand in 1 month, it was like if you would have told me I made $1 million. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I was like, and what school did you go to? Or like, how did you do? How did you get it to this level? And he's like, nothing. I didn't even graduate high school. I just started working here, and I got good at it over time. And you know, now he was the top guy, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's like if I felt like my whole life was a lie at that moment. You know, like this guy, he didn't do any of the things that they're telling me to do.
Right.
And he's doing pretty good for himself, you know? He had a nice truck, he had a nice life, all this stuff, right? And I was just like that's when I started thinking of like, okay, maybe there's a different way that you can go about it. So I started like watching podcasts. I started looking at videos and different things of like, I started expanding it. It opened my eyes, really, right?
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening is I tried to get an interview to do sales. I made up my mind, like, you know what? I'm gonna drop out of school, and I'm gonna do car sales. That was like my idea. So what ends up happening is I get the interview. I had just turned 19, and they tell me, no, you're too young. You can't. Like, you don't have any experience. You're too young. Whatever, right? The following week, though, they had the manager that interviewed me hired his little brother who had just turned 18.
Oh, damn.
So I was like, you didn't hire me because I'm too young. You didn't hire me because you hired your brother. But that's cool because it is what it is. Like, I'd rather you just tell me
the
that
truth,
than tell me like
bullshit.
Yeah. So that's when I was just like, whatever. Then I realized like, oh, at a corporate job, they're not really like loyal to you. Like, they're kind of cutthroat, right? So it's like, I got to play the politic games here.
Yeah.
So I realized that then. So then I'm like, all right, what's next then? And I know somebody who's successful in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Like family member, right? And so I reached out to my mom to tell them like, hey, I want to get into real estate. I'll drop out and I'll go work for them. So my mom reaches out, and that person told my mom, they were like, nah, it's going to be hard. He's too young. He's going to want to quit. Just stay in school. So they like shot me down from car sales. They shot me down from real estate. And I was just like, damn, like nobody's trying to give me a chance, right? And then that's when I got invited to an insurance meeting, and I went, and I didn't even know it was insurance, to be honest. I just went because I had been praying to God for an opportunity and whatnot, and that showed up, and that's when I jumped into that, and that's how I got into what I'm doing now, insurance. But it started almost 9 years ago.
Oh, nice.
And that was like the introduction to what we're doing now, which is insurance, life, health, accident, pretty much all types of different insurance. But it all started off like that. That's how I got to where I was. This wasn't something like, oh yeah, I'm gonna grow up. Yeah, I'm gonna grow up, and this is what I'm gonna do. Like, it didn't happen like that. But it's funny how it all worked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
It all
crazy.
works out.
They put you down as your age, right? Because sometimes they look at people and they're like, oh, you're too young for this. But without giving you the opportunity, they didn't know if you're a good salesman or not.
Right.
So when you left, did you leave the dealership to go to that seminar or conference or?
So I went to that meeting. I showed up, and everything, like, I was just looking for an opportunity, and it checked out. I'm like, okay, like, I started asking, how much can you make here? And they started telling me you can make like 6 figures and whatnot. And I was like, well, that's more than I'm making right now. Yeah. So cool. And then what ended up happening is they were having like this event in Vegas, right? And so keep in mind, this is how it went down. It was a Tuesday night. I went to the meeting, and I liked it. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get my license. I'm gonna study for it, and I'm gonna take the test, whatever. And they were telling me about this conference in Vegas, right? Keep in mind, I'm 19. I've never been to Vegas, so they're saying Vegas conference. In my mind, I'm just thinking
big
party. You know, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, Vegas party. I was like, let's go. Like, when is it? And then they're like, tomorrow. And I was like,
fuck.
Yeah. I'm like, I got school, I got work. Like, I was the type that never called off. Like, never. I needed the money more than anything, right? But I just didn't like to like call off like that. So every weekend I was always opening and closing, and on such a short notice, I felt weird, like telling my boss, like, hey, I'm not gonna be here this weekend. And, like, they had a process over there. Like, if you can get somebody to cover for you prior, then you can have that day off. But it was such a short notice. Like, everybody at work was like, nah, like, we're not gonna cover. We're not gonna cover for you. So I was like, whatever. Long story short, somebody ended up covering for me, and I didn't go to school. And I went to the conference, and I seen people like having success, and I was like, if these guys could do it, then I can do it. Because there's nothing special about them, you know? Like,
Right.
whatever another person can do, I can do it too if I just put in the time they have, learn what they know, and just go from there, you know? And so I came back from that conference, and I dropped out of school. I'm not preaching to drop out of school, but that's what I did, right? I dropped out of school, and then from there, I kept my job. But now Monday through Thursday, which used to be for school, was now learning about insurance, how everything works, how everything about the industry works. That's when I started really like going all in on that. And then it wasn't until like 3-4 months after I started seeing results, got my license, started getting paid, and I was making more money there than at my job, my part-time job at the dealership. That's when I left that. So I didn't quit right away my job. I kept it for like 3-4 months or so.
Okay, nice. How did your family react when you dropped out of school?
To be completely honest with you, my dad, he's a business owner. He has a mechanic shop in Delano.
Okay, nice.
So funny enough, like, he never pushed school on me at all. He was never the type. He never said not to go, but he also didn't like push
You
it
have
on
to
me.
go, yeah.
Yeah, he never was like, you have to. He just said, whatever you want to do, I'm going to support you, right? And so when I told him that, hey, I'm going to drop out of school when I want to do insurance, and he's like, are you sure about that? And I'm like, yeah, like this is what I want to do. And then he was like, all right, well, let's see what happens. Go for it. So they weren't too.
That's probably felt better on your end. You're like, okay, I can do this without having them pushing like, you need to go back.
Which was big for me because my older brother, he was going to Fresno State. Like all my brothers and sisters, they were always 4.0 GPA students, freaking high grades, like, what was it, like principal's honor roll, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And me, I was like the opposite.
sheep.
Yeah. I was, like, smoke weed and just like just not caring about nothing. I didn't care about grades. Like, I barely made it through high school. Like, luckily I didn't get expelled, like stuff like that, So for me, it was like, it kind of felt like weight off my shoulders that I didn't have to try to like live up to them because school wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Not because it was too hard. I just didn't care for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that like fired me up. I didn't wake up and be like, yeah, let's go hit
go to
these
school.
books. Like I wasn't like that.
There's no interest really.
For me,
Yeah.
right? For
And
me.
I think that's big that your parents had your back like that, because in the Mexican culture, you know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to go to school, you got to have a degree, you got to have something. And maybe that's why your brothers and sisters, or maybe they did like school. That's why they had the 4.0. But for especially after all that, for your parents to be like support you, like, all right, well, try it, see if it works.
I think a big thing too, absolutely what you're saying is true. But I also think a big reason was because growing up, like as a youngster, I was kind of rebellious. I was like you said, I was the black sheep, right?
Yeah.
So my mom would always, Mexican, Hispanic moms, right? Like they're always saying like, you're gonna end up dead or you're gonna end up in jail, or all this stuff, right? So I think the fact that like in my junior year of high school is when I kind of got my act together, and it all happened because I started going to the gym.
Oh,
So like that's where like I learned like discipline.
Right.
That's where I picked up like it all started from the gym, because the gym taught me discipline, which led to eating right, which led
Little
to
by
like
little.
I wanted to take care of myself. I gotta look good. I gotta feel good.
Yeah.
So towards the last 2 years of high school, I kind of straightened out, right?
Yeah.
So I think for my parents, it was more of like, well,
at least he's straightened out a little bit.
at
He's
least
doing
he
a
ain't
little bit
dead.
better.
Yeah, at least he's not in the street like on drugs or something like that.
Yeah.
So let him do what he wants to do.
I think that's more or less, I feel like that's what it was. They had no expectations of me.
Yeah.
So when I decided to not go to school, but it was to do something else,
Yeah.
they weren't really tripping on me like that.
Yeah.
That was good.
So I think that's what it was. They never told me that, but I feel like that's what it was. Because
Yeah.
if you tell your parent, most people, hey, mom, hey, dad, I'm going to drop out of school, they're going to grill you.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Hold on, guys.
Very good.
But that's what it was. And yeah, like it was crazy because a lot of people that I tell that to, most of them say things like that, like,
Yeah.
hey, like, did your parents tell you anything? Were they negative about it? Like, they kind of weren't. They were just kind of cool about it. So it worked out.
And when you made that transition from dropping out of school to learning the insurance, was there any self-doubt you had when you first started into it? Or you kind of were like, I'm just going to go all in on this?
To be honest, I'm the type of person that kind of like, I don't know why, since I think from playing sports very early on, I was always very competitive. So if it's something I like, I'm never going to even doubt it. I'm never going to, and even if that doubt ever creeps up, like, I don't let it overtake me. I'm going to just be like,
you do your 120%.
Yeah, I'm just not going to pay attention to it. I'm not going to let that, what do you say, that thought grow.
Right.
I just ignore it.
Right.
And I just keep putting in work so that those results from that work overpower that doubt if it's there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then, did you ever envision yourself as doing the life insurance, or even, because I know you have your agency as well, right? Mm-hmm. Did you ever envision yourself having the agency when you first started?
Yeah, I think that was like a big thing for me. So I didn't see it like, I seen a lot of the people at that conference, like the people that had been there for a while, the people that had put the time in and that became successful in this industry. I seen where they ended up. I seen the lifestyle they had. I seen what they had for their family, like how they were. And that's what I want, like the freedom. That was what I wanted. It wasn't necessarily like, I wasn't so, how do I say? I wasn't so like consumed with the whole life insurance part of it. I was more of like, they built a business with this and they got to where they're at. So I want that. I'm going to reverse engineer this. This is where I got the opportunity. So whatever I got to learn here, this is what I'm going to do until I get there. And man, from the very beginning, I knew exactly like what it was that I was trying to do. I wasn't just trying to like work somewhere. I was trying to like build something. Yeah.
So you had the vision since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say was the biggest challenge trying to start your agency?
It's in the beginning. It's part of the beginning of anything is always hard, right? Like when you get in shape, the first time you go to the gym. I remember the first time I ever went to the gym, I could just lift a bar.
Right.
Like that's it. Like I just do the bar, and then you're in there, and it's embarrassing because you see people lifting all these weights. They got all this muscle. I was like a stick, you know what I mean? I was a little stick and just trying to lift a bar at the time, and if like I couldn't pick it up after my older brother, he works out a lot. He always did like I don't know. It seems like forever, right? But he took me to the gym, and he would laugh at me, you know, because I couldn't pick up the weights or whatever. And so I thought of it the same way. In the beginning, it was hard. And learning the everything you need to know about insurance, like what to do, what not to do, how to be a really good agent. So in order to build a business in the insurance business, what you need is like you have an insurance agency, right? What that means is you're like a broker, and then you have all these different agents. In order for your agency to have any success, you got to teach your agents how to be really good agents, how to really make sure that they know how to help a client properly with the right policies, with the right everything. Like they got to do their job real good. Like they got to be professionals, right? In order for you to teach somebody how to be a professional, you first got to become a professional. Yep. So learning how to be a professional in the beginning was the hardest thing there was, because I didn't come from like experience. I had to kind of make a lot of mistakes, and that really through mistakes, through time, watching people, it just took time, and it wasn't easy at all. In the beginning, it was really hard. Like I would always think, like, man, am I doing the right thing? Like what if I was actually at the car dealership selling cars? Yeah. Like, what if I was? Because you hear stories or you know people that are doing well in other things, and you're like, damn, like, should I go with them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe this is not my thing. Maybe that's my thing. I could have did better there. But it's just that process, you know, where are you gonna stick to it and make it work, or are you gonna continue to be like, well, what if I did not? It's just like it seemed like you knew that you were gonna stick through it no matter what from the beginning, though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. I couldn't. I had to make it work. Like there was no other way. I mean, I gave myself that mentality. Like it's a zero option mentality. Like there's no other option.
Plan B.
No plan B.
Plan A, and there's no plan B.
Exactly, and that's what it was. Yeah.
What sacrifices did you have to make to get your business off the ground?
Damn, a lot of time spent with like friends, family. You know what really helped me with that though? When I was working at the dealership, because I would work weekends, open till close. So I would open early, which was like, I would get there like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And then I couldn't leave until the last customer left. So if the dealership closes at 8, but a client walks in at 7:50,
and they're closing the deal.
Like they're closing the deal
10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I can't start washing it until finance approves it. So I'm just, the car is there. I'm just looking at it like, damn, I can't wash this thing. Like I'm just there, you know? And sometimes I wouldn't get home till 10, 11, and my friends are out. I had plans with my friends to go out to a party or something with the girl. Again. I can't do anything. So that kind of prepped me a little bit for the sacrifice. And then again, like going to the gym, started eating healthy, stopped for like a long time. I stopped eating like candy, and I love sweets, right? I stopped eating candy. I stopped eating chips, and I was just, eating real healthy, like towards like when I was like 17, 18, 19, I was really like heavy into discipline. So I realized like, okay, if I want to make this work in the insurance business, I got to get to this level of knowledge and expertise and professionalism. Right now, I'm right here. If I want to close that gap, it's going to take a lot of time and energy. So how do I speed up this process? Well, just stay more focused than everybody else. Right. Get locked in. Just become obsessed with this until you get good at it.
That's the key.
And because, you know what I mean? Like, why would you take longer than you have to get good at something if you can do it in a shorter period of time?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I did. And missing out on parties, events, like all this stuff. There was like times where I would hang out with pretty much nobody for a while. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Like
that's what it takes.
You gotta go through that little period where you kind of like put life on pause. Like put entertainment on pause, right?
Yeah.
And lock in on what really matters, on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve it, it ain't really gonna feel like a sacrifice because you know what you're doing it for.
Yeah.
You're the only one that sees that vision, and you know what it takes.
Right.
So like, no, you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you, hey, well, don't go to that party. No, like you know that you're not gonna go to the party because this is more important. You're locked in, and you really want it. You're not just talking about it. Like, no, I could go later, whether it's fucking next year, 2 years, whatever it's gonna take.
Yeah. And another thing too is like, some people, I feel like the people who it really isn't, like whatever path you're chasing, if it really isn't your path, you're gonna fold quick.
Oh yeah.
But when it's your path, you don't feel guilty about missing whatever you're missing. Like it doesn't make you, like, you know how other people will say, damn, that sucks, bro. Like you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, you know how like
they don't see the vision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I get that a lot as well. They're like, you're crazy, you work all the time. So yeah, what other option do I have?
Right, yeah. But it doesn't even feel like you're working, you know what I mean? Like
to them it does, but not to you, because you're like you said, you're locked in. So you could be working 24/7, and then other people be judging you, be like, man, bro, like you need some time off. Like, no, I don't. Because it don't feel like work. You're like, I need to do this. This is what it takes. This is what I'm gonna do because I really want it.
Exactly. And the craziest thing is when you do, like, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys have felt like this watch. So like anytime, especially in the beginning where I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I was still like I'm still trying to come up, right? But when I was really like trying to become a professional at what I do, right? I would, like, let's say I would go to a party or I would do something and I still wasn't who I wanted to really be, I would feel weird there.
Oh yeah.
I would feel
you don't feel yourself. I
don't belong here. I'm still not who I'm supposed to be. Like, why am I even here? I don't.
Like, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather go work.
Get back to the grind.
I need to go work on this. I have this and this to do still. So I even like tell people to explain it to them, like the way you like to watch TV and enjoy your relaxed time. That's the way I enjoy working. And so people will, and they'll be like, oh, I say it's a bit different, but for you to understand why I work so much, the way you enjoy watching TV, relaxing, I enjoy working the same way.
Exactly. It's that same. I don't know. You could say addiction, but it's like addiction to progress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to better our lives, trying to become financially free, have more freedom down the road, right?
It's like a video game, you know,
Yeah.
like all these video games you're trying to keep playing to unlock the new level.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in life,
In life,
you got to
the new
keep
level in
working
life, yeah.
and unlock the new levels.
Yeah.
So I am my own video game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
I'm trying to unlock my own next level, and so I'm addicted to that video game.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's kind of how I see it.
That's a
Yeah.
good way to see it because, you know, a lot of people don't understand that point of view. But people that have their own business are like, keep going. I was there too. I always had the sleepless nights because everyone doesn't see the late nights, all the things you had to go through in order to get to where you are now. Because everyone, they always say you got lucky or, oh, you're lucky because you can do this, this, and this. But it's like you didn't see where I started. You
The
didn't see
sacrifices.
Yeah.
the sacrifices we did.
Yeah, that like sometimes it offends me. It just depends who says it, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It depends who says it. Like, yeah, you're like that. You're lucky. Like, I'm just like,
We talked about that quite a bit, and we even say we're gonna make some shirts to say that I'm lucky because, like, they have no fucking idea what you have to put in and fucking do. Like, bro,
Right.
like yeah, I'm lucky. It just fell on my lap. Like,
Right.
no, motherfucker, I built
Right.
this shit from scratch. And fucking long dates, long nights, blood, sweat, and tears, and fucking the times you're stressing and fucking banging your head against the wall because you're trying to figure shit out or whatever it is. Like, and then I'm lucky. Like,
Right.
okay, but like I said, it sounds like an offensive, but we laugh at that now. We're like, fuck, we're gonna make some shirts. Let's just say we're lucky.
Right.
Like, that's what they label us, but no, that I think that's what people label hard workers. Lucky, you
Yeah,
know, but like no, we're hard workers.
you ever heard that saying? It says, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's true. It really-
Pitbull says that.
Yeah, I seen him live one time.
Yeah?
yeah. I don't know. I can't. I think at a Tony Robbins event. You guys know Tony Robbins?
Yeah, Tony Robbins.
I think so. I'm not. Might be wrong.
He's badass.
Yeah, he is.
His mindset's another level
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He spoke
Yeah.
and everything. I think it was there. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
There.
yeah, because he came up from the ground up to it, but then he changed his life to where he knew exactly what he wanted. So he became a from the streets to straight businessman. You know, alongside the music. You know, the music helped him a lot, but the music is really nothing compared to what he's built as far as like business. You know.
Yeah. The craziest thing is like, for me, like I always related business to the gym.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
always
Same
very
concept.
Yeah.
like it's the same formula.
Yeah.
Like how ripped you want to get is going to determine how much of a sacrifice you're willing to put in on your macros, on your cardio, on whatever it is. Like you can get to a certain point. Like let's say you get to 15% body fat, you can stop right there.
Yeah.
But if you want to go to the next level, like you're gonna have to keep
Put in
in
that
that
work.
process more and more and more and more and more. And in business, it's the same thing. If you want your business to keep growing, then if you're getting a certain revenue and you start spending too much on like personal, then you can't pump it back into your business.
Right.
So like in the gym, getting ripped, the more time you stay locked in, you get more ripped.
Oh, yeah.
In the business, the more revenue you keep pumping back in, the bigger it can get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really a matter of just you go as far as you're willing to really sacrifice
Yeah.
for. That's kind of the concept.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then how did you educate yourself about entrepreneurship and the insurance industry?
So entrepreneurship, it kind of, you know how I told you guys earlier, I started like trying to get into, I started seeing sales during the car business when I was washing cars
The
there.
beginning.
That's really my first exposure to sales, right? Like real sales. And at that point, I started like watching videos about sales and how to sell cars and then like real estate. And then I came across a podcast. You guys know who Andy Frisella is? Andy
Yeah.
Frisella?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came across his Instagram like when I was like 17 because I always liked Audi R8s. So I would go on Instagram and hashtag Audi R8 and I would just look at the pictures, I liked them, right? And his page popped out. And so I started following him. And this was before he had a podcast, before he like got as big as he is now. He had, you guys remember, it was in Vine. It was called Periscope. There was an app called Periscope
I
back
kind of
then.
remember that one.
It was like basically live, like Instagram Live, Facebook Live. Back then, it was just the company was just I guess you would just go on like live on it, right?
Oh, just go live.
Yeah, and then Facebook and Instagram came out with, they added that feature to their thing, so that company just like went out of business, whatever. But I would watch his stuff, and then he started that podcast, and that's where I would get a lot of my game, my knowledge from, and learn from his experience, and that's really what a lot of the foundation was. And he would talk about books, so I would started reading a couple little books and started watching people like Ty Lopez. I mean, he was all over the internet at that time, right? I remember one time I tried to ask my mom to buy me a course from him. She said no, right? But I was trying to buy, I watched the ad on YouTube, and I'm like, damn,
it was good.
That fucker's a salesman, bro. Yeah, you got that shit on point, too.
But I was hungry to learn, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how I came across entrepreneurship. And then the whole insurance industry thing, it just happened. Like, I didn't see oh man, these guys, I didn't even know you can make money in insurance. I didn't even know of any of that. Like, my family never talked about insurance or anything like that. So it was never even a thought for me. It just kind of happened because it was really the only option for me at that time.
Right.
Car sales wasn't an option. Real estate wasn't an option. So this thing popped out, and I was like, all right, well, let's do it. If you're saying I can make money here, right? All right, cool. Well, that's all I need to know.
Try it out,
yeah,
man.
that's all I need to know. And I just went all in, and little by little, man, just learning YouTube videos, studying, practicing with people, other agents. Like, hey, let's practice our phone calls. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go, and then you go, and then I'm gonna say this, and then you be a hard customer.
I'm gonna try to sell you, and you be a hard customer.
Stuff like a lot of role playing, like a lot of that, man. A lot of training. It took a while. Yeah. And it was just a lot of hours of reading books, podcasts, self developing. It just took time.
How was your first experience getting your first client?
To be honest, I remember I was because I had started and I was 19. I was like one of the younger agents, and I was actually afraid. Like, I was nervous to go sit down and talk to older people about insurance, because I'm like, this was only in my head. You know what I mean? It wasn't even real. It didn't even exist. I was just making this up in my mind, putting limits into myself, right? And I remember they were sending me on my to go. There was no agents available. There was a client who wanted insurance. I was licensed and I was in the office, and they're
ready
like,
to go.
You go, Marco, you go. And I was just like, what? Nah, I'm not ready. And then they were like, no, you got to. And I was like, by myself? Like, nobody's going to come with me? And they sent me out in the fire, and the whole time I was there, I'm like, man, they better not ask me how old I am. They better not ask me because I was 19. And sure enough, the lady asked me, she's like, how old are you? And I was like, how old do you think I am? She's like, 23, 24. And I was like, I'll tell you after. And then she never asked me again. But I ended up helping her. I made the sale and everything. She was super nice, super cool. And that was like, I was like, this wasn't even that hard. Like, I know
it was all in your head.
It was all in my head. Yeah, exactly. It was all in my head. It wasn't that hard. And after that was kind of like a little breakthrough moment, because now I realized, like, people don't even care how old you are or how young you are. They just want to know that you know what you're doing and that you're really trying to help them out and not screw them over, you know?
Right.
And so that was that.
Nice. And then anytime you're working or anything and you come across something that may be considered a failure, how do you manage that?
I think that's, if you can't get used to that and you can't overcome that, you're not going to go anywhere, because there's way more failures than there is successes. You're going to take way more L's than you're going to take W's. The thing is, one W is like worth 100 L's.
Mm-hmm.
So that just one win can set you so far ahead than any loss will set you back. Now, sometimes there's big setbacks, right? But one win can be such a huge comeback that you got to keep in mind, like, you always got to think from the end goal. So whatever your end goal is, right? Like, I wanted to build an agency. I wanted to build a company. I wanted to be someone in the insurance business. Like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, right? It's not so much like whatever is in front of me. So if it's a problem that's in front of me, it don't matter, because I'm gonna overcome it because I know where I'm gonna be. So anytime I've took a loss, even in the beginning, I had that mindset, but it was way harder to deal with it in the beginning because I didn't have no results.
Right.
So when you're dealing with it, you're like, nah, I'm not gonna give up because I want to make it to over here. But you ain't got no results to look at to validate that thought.
Right.
So you're kind of just like, damn, am I making the right decision? So in the beginning, losses, it would take me a longer time to get over it. I would dwell on it, thinking something's wrong with me too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus now, it's just like, take it on the chin, let's go. Like,
Yeah,
it's all good.
how'd you learn to overcome that?
Just by going through it so damn much, you know what I mean? Like just taking the hits, not giving up. Like you're gonna have setbacks. Like just watching, like a lot of people talk down on like reading books and watching podcasts and all that stuff. Like, why do you watch all that stuff? Like, what do you need all that for? You know? And in my mind, it's like, sometimes you just need to see other people not giving up on themselves so you don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Borrowing inspiration sometimes. You know what I mean? You gotta do that sometimes.
Hearing other people's stories and how they persevered through their failures or how they kept pushing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, that's how I would go through, just listening to podcasts, motivational speakers. I'm like, okay, this guy did it. I can do this.
Exactly. That was all it was.
And then how do you stay motivated during like difficult times in the business?
Number one is, well, a big thing for me is always like, you know, God. I'm big with God, right? And I'm big on like in the church they talk about how having faith is you're not fighting a battle that is like up in the air. You already know who won. So if you know that. I believe in Jesus and whatnot, right?
Yep.
So if I know that Jesus wins in the end, you're not fighting from nervousness, you're fighting from victory. So whatever battle is in front of you, like it doesn't matter. The war is already won.
Yep.
So as long as you put one foot in front of the other, eventually you're gonna get to that final destination, that win. So knowing that, damn, this thing is hard, but I just got to learn how to figure it out. Whatever this thing is right now, it's happening to me for a reason.
What is it teaching me? What I got to go through to?
It's making me better because if you're at where you're supposed to be at, based on your level of skill set, based on your level of professionalism, based on your level of everything, like you are where you are and you're not where you want to be yet because you're not good enough yet. If you were, you'd be there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that sometimes the biggest blessings are in hard lessons that a lot of people try to avoid, but you just gotta look at it like, all right, if I overcome this, nothing can stop me now until the next big thing happens, and then you're like, so that's kind of how it goes.
Oh, nice. So having an agency and having all the agents under you, what do you find is one of the hardest things or challenges to manage them?
I'll tell you that the biggest thing is dealing with people, teaching them, kind of like what you're asking me, is helping them with that. Because a lot of people sometimes, everybody's going to hit a roadblock. No matter who you are, no matter how good you think you are, you're going to go through difficult times. And a lot of people go through difficult times. And sometimes they remember how I told you in the beginning I would deal with setbacks? It would take me such a long time to get over it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think helping agents realize, like, bro, you need to minimize your problems. It's not the end of the world. Like, you woke up today, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you dying from cancer? No. What are you tripping for? You got to be grateful.
So like, try to get them to get over those losses a lot faster, to get them to progress, to get to the next level a lot faster, and get that mindset of them there to be able to get through it.
That's it, because teaching agents how to become professional agents, really good with clients, handling objections, like helping them make sales, helping them learn about the products and services, the different insurance companies, like everything that we offer for our clients. In my opinion, that's the easy stuff. Like, just all you got to do is read for a while, practice like anybody can learn that.
Right.
But the thing that separates a successful agent from an agent that fails is how do they handle the losses some people can't handle losses. Some people need somebody else to solve everything for them. And that's why a lot of people go back to, and there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5, right? But a lot of people go to a 9 to 5 because they don't have to deal with anything. They just got, all you got to do is, I tell me what to do today. I do it, and then I go home. And after I clock out, I check out, and I think about whatever little entertainment I want to have for the day. For most people, that's all the stress they can handle.
Right.
But any successful person has to handle way more stressful things, more problems. So getting people to understand that, hey, you said you wanted to go here, right? A higher level than what you are, then helping them realize that it's not really the problem that's the problem. It's the way they're looking at it that's the problem.
Yeah.
So just constantly having conversations and helping them develop their mindset. And if you notice, my agency is called the Supreme Agency, right?
Yeah.
And so what that means is becoming, and I picked it that way because supreme, like if you look up with the word supreme, the definition, it means like the highest, right? Like, you know how they talk about the supreme God, right?
Right.
It means like becoming the best version of you. So Supreme Agency is like, for me, it's like we help people develop into the best version of themselves. And then once you are the best version of yourself, it don't matter what you do, you're going to be good at it because you are that, you're taking that wherever you go. You're developing that bulletproof mindset that overcomes obstacles, that doesn't give up until you get what you need to get. And you're just always thinking about solving problems. And that's really what it's about. It's more about, like, a lot of people think, like, if I'm in the insurance business, it's really, I'm in the people business.
Right.
I'm in the developing people's mindset to the highest level, and then we give them a platform, which is insurance, right? To use what they learned, apply it, and then make a good living for themselves.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That's a good concept.
And what would you say is a misconception of the insurance business?
That you guys seen that United Healthcare thing? I mean, it's some messed up situation. Getting shot, the guy getting shot. So we actually work with that company too, but they are a pretty shady company. I'll just say that. But a big misconception, especially in the Hispanic community, a big misconception is like, well, there's a couple of things. They don't, like, a lot of people think that, oh, I don't need insurance. Why am I going to leave money to my kids? Like, nobody left me any money. I'm not going to leave any money to them. You know what I mean?
It's kind of fucked up.
It is, but like, I'll be surprised how many times I hear that from like Hispanic or minority families. I hear that all the time, right? And more or less, a lot more back then. A lot of people are starting to come around. But another thing is, like, sometimes, and because this does exist, where there's companies out there, because there's like hundreds or thousands of insurance companies. There's not like one or two. There's a lot, right? And some are way richer than others. And the richest ones are simply the ones that give out the most benefits. But a lot of other little companies do exist where they have, like, hey, and there's also agents who aren't that good of professionals, or maybe that's just the way they're trained. I don't know. But there'll be like 2-year waiting periods. This is an example. They sell an insurance policy to a client and they don't tell them, hey, if you die in the first 2 years, you just get your money back. But you're not going to get that pay. Your family's not going to get that payout that you thought you were going to get.
Yeah. And
that's the thing. You have no idea on a daily basis how many policies we replace every single day where the client thinks they have $40,000 of insurance coverage and they got it like 2 months ago, and we look at the policy and we explain to them, did you know that you have this, and this in your policy? And they're like, what? The agent never told me that. Of course they're not going to tell you that, right? And so review, like, that stuff, those practices put a bad
name
into insurance, right?
Yeah, where there's fraud and this and that.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So sometimes you're working against the grain with certain peoples because of stuff like that. But you'll find out, man. And what's crazy is like white people, Caucasians, like, bro, they're
on their shit.
They believe they know. It's like, if, like, a lot of them do say, yeah, my mom got me a policy when I was a little baby, and like I know, I'm supposed to get it. I want to get it for my grandchildren and this and that. It's like it's on their to-do list or whatever. You know what I mean?
It's passed down though. You know what I mean? Like how you said, well, I got it when I was a baby. My mom, my grandma, my grandpa got it for me.
Yep.
So it's already like embedded from them. So like they know, but they don't know at the same time.
Right.
It's just more like passed down to where like you said, that Hispanic. Oh no, yo no necesito eso. Like it's fried. It's a lie because so and so got one. And like you said, a lot of people. One of the things that you mentioned was that they're not educated. Or the agent that sold it to them didn't provide the right education to it. Like, hey, this policy is like this, because there's so many policies. You can write them, and a lot of times they might sell you a policy just for their commission, but it's not it's not covering you for shit. You know what I mean? So I think it has to do a lot with not only you getting the information from the agent or whatever, but also you doing your own research, asking the right questions. Because if you just being sold on and like, okay, well, what does this cover? What exactly? You know what I mean? I think it has to do a little bit of both.
100%. It's definitely both. And it's something that, I mean, I wish they would teach it in school, man, because you see all these GoFundMes, like you see all these people asking for money when someone passes away, and it sucks because you already know they're in a world of pain.
Yeah.
And on top of that, still having to figure out how you're going to come up with 10, 15, 20 grand in the next week while you're dealing with that emotional pain. Like, that's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And just because they don't have certain information, they could, if they would have had that information, they could have got a policy, a 20, 30, 40, whatever it may be, but they wouldn't have been in that situation. But yeah, it is a lack of education. And another thing too that's like about the industry is, so I'm a broker, right? I got my own agency. So I work with a bunch of different insurance companies, pretty much any company other than like the I don't want to say major, because a lot of people think that like State Farm, Farmers,
they're majors, but they're not.
They're actually not the biggest insurance companies at all. There's a lot of global, big, huge insurance companies that we work with. They're like global, right? And you can't get if you want to sell for State Farm, you have to only be captive and work for them. If you want to sell for Farmers, same thing. If you want to sell for Allstate, same thing. So as a broker, we can pretty much get a contract with whoever isn't captive. So we work with a bunch of them that you can think of. Most of the known names we work with. We have a lot of contracts for the life insurance side, the burial insurance, accidental insurance, Medicare, health insurance, like so many different types of insurance and so many different companies. And usually if a customer is like super adamant about, I want this company, if we can get the contract, we'll go get the contract and then be like, all right, here's this company that you really wanted. And that's on the broker side. On the captive agent side, sometimes there's agents that they can only represent the company that they work for. So if that company's policy isn't the best for you, they still push it because that's all they got. Right. And in order for them to eat, they have to sell that. So a lot of times when there's like a situation where the client feels like, man, they never told me about that, or they never told me about this, is because they're trained to not tell you this, because if they're going to make the sale, they have to only sell you that one product that they have. So they're going to make it sound as good as possible, so you go with them. The good thing about being a broker is you have all these different policies. So you figure out, okay, where's the customer at? What are their needs? Which policy closes the gap from where they are and where they need to be? That's the policy you go with. Even if it means it pays you less, you still go with that, because at the end of the day, this client's going to find out down the road that you got them a policy they shouldn't have had. Yeah. So what do you want to do when that day comes? Do you want to be that bad agent, or do you want to be a good agent when they realize like, oh, damn, I got a really good policy. I'm going to send you all these different referrals. That's part of, remember I was telling you guys, learning how to be a professional? Yeah. That's part of becoming a professional, of doing what's right long term, not just in the short term.
Yep. That way you don't get a bad rap. They tell someone else, like, this person screwed me, don't go with them.
Yep.
Because I feel like that gets around the word of mouth.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest marketing right there.
Mm-hmm. What principles do you prioritize most when making decisions for your company?
It's got to be good for. It's got to be good for the agent. Like everything has to make. If there's a business decision that we're gonna make, it's got to be good for the agent, not just good for me. Not just gonna make more money for me, but it's gotta make. I gotta make sure that it benefits the agents, because at the end of the day, our agents are what make the company. If our agents aren't equipped with the best of anything, then they're gonna realize that eventually, and they're gonna leave. So you gotta make sure that every decision you make is a long-term decision, not a short-term decision. See a lot of people in the industry make very short-term decisions where they're like, okay, I'm gonna make this move, right? And then if it fills up their pocket in the short term, but long term,
It don't last.
it don't last, because their agents realize, like, hey, he or her, I know why they made that, because they're making more money, but we're not. Like, F this, like, I'm out. You know what I mean? Because agents aren't employees. They're independent contractors. If they don't want to work with you anymore, they could bounce and they can go to a different agency. So to have a successful agency, you really have to think about your agents, because every decision you make, eventually they're going to find out. And they're going to find out if you made that decision to help them or to help you.
Right.
And anything that helps them will always help you long term.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Taking care of your people, so then they can stay with you and keep taking care of you as well.
Exactly.
So what would you say was your first major milestone as an agent? As an agent and then agency?
I think, especially where I started, I started off in the beginning like in a captive company where we only sold a certain amount of companies and stuff like that. And I'm grateful to have started that, because that's where like I got my intro. That's where I learned. That's where my foundation was built. You know what I mean? And at that company, making $100,000 was like a big thing there. Like it was like a big celebration there, right? So I think my first true milestone was at that company where I first started. I was the youngest six-figure earner at that company.
Oh, nice.
That to me was like the first
Milestone.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I'm pretty good at this, you know? like that was kind of like what it was for me. And then as an agency, it was when I left that company and I went on the independent route, like a broker route, like I'm in control of my business. I get to dictate what contracts we have and how my whole setup is. Like I'm in control now. When I made that move, like it happened fast, but it only happened fast because I had put in 4 years at the other company. It wasn't like
you had that knowledge and the experience that you had to gain.
And that's why I tell a lot of agents, they're like, how did you do it so fast? And I'm like, bro, you didn't see all the other 4 years before this, you know? So coming over here, like reaching like multi 7-figure in sales, right?
Nice.
We started doing that. And in our first full year being independent, we started doing that. And like we made more sales than, like, remember I told you I always envisioned it happening?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it was going to be like, I don't want to say that fast, but I didn't. I knew I would eventually get there. I just didn't know when. So when it started happening, it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like wake up call. Like, fuck, it's already here. It's already happening.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And even though it took how long it took till you open it? 4 years, 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So even though it took that long, when it actually happens, it doesn't feel like that long.
Right.
Like, that's why it feels like, fuck, like I'm already here. Like those 4 years of work and sweat and tears is like fucking, you don't even fucking face them no more. You're like, fuck, now it's happening for sure.
Yep. Yeah. But like they say, you know, like more money, more problems, the bigger, more success, more responsibilities. Yeah. But it's fun. The problems and the adversity introduces you to who you really are. Right. So if you say like to myself, right, like in my own mind, I'm like, I'm trying to be like a David Goggins or like all these successful people. In my mind, I'm just like, I want to be just like them.
Right.
I don't think they're any better than me. I think I could be like them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And every day I'm like, thinking to myself that I'm trying to become like that. So when a problem happens, it's like, all right, you say you're like them, right?
Yeah.
We're about to see right now.
Let's see. Let's check it out.
That's the mindset that I have. So sometimes when things hit the fan now, like I laugh at it because I'm like, damn, this thing is here to take me out. All right, let's go. Let's see what's up. Who's gonna win right now? That's kind of how it is.
How do you ensure your team reflects your company's mission and values?
You gotta stay in their ear more than the world is. Like, a lot of people think that if you tell somebody one thing once, they may get it, but you gotta constantly drill things into people's head. The same, like it's like you can't just work out one day and think that you gotta consistently have that poured into them. Like, you don't go to church one time and there, boom, that's it. You gotta consistently be there, work with them, talk to them, and not only that, but you be the most important thing is you gotta be an example of everything you say your company is about. So if you want all your guys to be a certain way or to do certain things, then you gotta do that, and you gotta be like that. Because if not, it's just the universe ain't gonna give it to you. It's just not. It's not gonna open up for you like that. Because you can lie to everybody, but you can't lie to God. You can't lie to the universe.
You can't lie to yourself.
You can't lie to yourself. and if you're lying to yourself, you ain't gonna believe in yourself as much as if you're not lying to yourself.
Exactly.
If you're not lying to yourself, you're gonna be extremely confident because bro, I'm on my shit. I'm not,
can't nobody fuck with you.
Like, how could I fail when I'm doing everything I'm supposed to? You know what I mean? So that.
Okay, nice. And how do you approach marketing and brand awareness for your agency?
So, pay for it. Like, one way. There's a lot of different ways to go about marketing, right? But at the old company where I first started, it was all word of mouth. Like, you had to go talk to people, shake hands, really do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That works. That's one way of doing it, right? But if you ever ran Facebook ads, if you ever ran any advertisement on social media, if you ever had a marketing agency, you know that you can reach so much people.
Way more results.
Yeah, absolutely. So you paying for marketing, and not because look, marketing creates an opportunity, right? But the sales people have to capitalize on that opportunity. Because if you got all this opportunity and you get really good marketing, you're driving traffic to wherever you want, you funnel it to wherever you want to get to. Like let's say we're advertising for insurance sales, like insurance products. We run ads, and we get all these leads. But if you don't know how to sell or you don't know how to close it, well, you ain't getting nowhere, right? So that's one part of it. But at the same time, like the reputation of your company, the best marketing for the reputation of your company is how good of a service you actually provide. Because if you really give a good, like if you treat every customer like if it was your grandma, right? Like you really make sure you do the best for them, you take care of them, and you give them your best, that's going to create a little wildfire. Like that's going to spread out, and eventually you're going to have that real good reputation. So that I would say that too. That's important, because you could have great marketing, right? Like you get in a lot of leads and you make a bunch of sales, but if you're doing a shitty job and you're screwing clients over, it's only a matter of time before everybody knows, like, hell no. Yeah.
How do you handle the stress that comes with being an entrepreneur?
So, work out.
A lot of the gym, right?
Sweat it out.
Yeah, like just honestly, I think a lot of the stress. You know, it's weird after a while when because I've been in the insurance business now for like 9 years, right? Independent. Half of the time I've been independent on my own, and half the time I was working with a different company, right? So I think like after a while of being, I guess, in stress for such a long time, you don't even realize it no more. Like it's just
it's like nothing. That's what I see. Like even with like other people's personal problems, like. Bro, like that's not even a problem. Like all you gotta do is this, and that, and then you hear the story. Yeah, but then this, and like try it out. But
right.
you already know in your mind. You already fixed it. You know, it's that easy because, like you say, you've done it for so long. Like regular problems, they're not a problem. Like. I could only imagine if you had one of my problems, bro. Like, you fucking hang yourself, bro. Like, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, they have
bro.
like, and you don't even talk about it. You just fix it. Okay, well, fucking what happened? Okay, well, let's fucking figure out. Let's fucking fix this problem. Bam. So it becomes kind of like, it kind of becomes dormant. It's there, but it's not there.
Right.
I get it. Yeah.
It's just like when you see it, bro. It's like it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like it's an opportunity for you to figure, like for you to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For you to
get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And the way I see it is it's an opportunity to get you to the next level because like all these problems I already fixed them. Now I'm at this problem right here. Okay, I've never had that problem. Okay, it's a big fucking problem. Okay, let's fix it. Boom. You fix it and fucking it becomes like a normal problem again.
Yep.
And then next time you got another one.
Yep.
So I see it as an opportunity to get to know yourself. What are you made out of? And then that gets you to the next level to continue growing. Like you said, the video game where that unlocks the next level. Like you got to the hardest of the level. You passed it, boom, next.
Right. Exactly.
So it never ends. It never ends.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a journey.
Yep. 100%.
What's one thing you wish you knew before starting your agency?
One thing I wish I knew
Before you started.
Oh man, there's a lot.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
You know, I think one of the biggest things is I wish I knew. Actually, I don't know if I wish I knew because then I wouldn't be so. I don't know, grateful for it maybe.
Yeah.
But what I could tell you is, like, if somebody asked me, is it harder than you think it is? But is it also more worth it than you think it is? Mm-hmm. It was harder than I thought it was going to be, but it was also way more worth than what I thought it would be too.
Yeah, I like that. That's different.
Good.
That's a different answer. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's very good. How do you ensure you keep learning and growing as a leader?
How do I ensure it? Like, what do I do?
Yeah. Things that help you keep.
I mean, I'm just naturally a curious person. Like, I'm just naturally curious. I have that desire to always want. I think if you're trying to be really great at anything, you're it's just you can't stop it. You can't.
You just have it.
It won't go away. It's just gonna be there all the time. You're just gonna always want to keep learning something different. Or if you see somebody else killing it, you're gonna want to know, like, man, what are they doing?
Like, how did you do it? Like, what are you doing?
How could I improve this thing? Because there's always room to improve.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because other people's results is all the proof that you need that you can get better. Because if somebody's like in the gym, if I go to the gym and I see somebody that is super ripped, I'm like, damn, that's all the proof I need to know that I could get super ripped because that guy's super ripped. Yeah. So I gotta figure out, hey, bro, what do you do? How do you train? What do you eat? Like give me your whole breakdown. Yeah. And if I just follow his breakdown for long enough, and I don't cheat, and I follow it for long enough, it's only a matter of time before I look similar to that. You know, and it's the same in business, same exact thing.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to someone just starting out their entrepreneurial life?
I would say, like what I said earlier, it's going to be harder than you think it is. But once you cross the other side, you're going to realize, like, damn, it was worth it. And just because you have success doesn't mean stop. Because it's hard to make it to the top. Right. But it's even harder to stay there.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone keep growing.
Is what they say. Success is rented.
Hell yeah.
And you got paid. Dues are paid every fucking day.
Every second, every hour. You know, it's true. It's true. But also too, I would say is like you gotta learn how to. And this is something I have a problem with, and like that I have a problem with. Like I have a hard time accepting. Like congratulations when people tell me I'm doing something good, it's like it's almost like I get mad when people tell me that. For real, I swear. Like my girl always tells me, like, why do you get like that? I noticed how you get. Like, you don't like that. I don't know where that comes from or what, like some childhood trauma or something, right? But I don't like that. And I noticed that it's a problem, you know? Like, I should enjoy certain things more, because now that I've been doing this for 9 years, I look back at it and like certain moments where I'm like, damn, like, you should have been. I remember how you felt right there. You should have been happier right there.
Right.
Because now I look back at it and I'm like, damn, I can't go back and be happy there. You know what I mean? I was just. So I guess learning how to not over celebrate, but learning how to celebrate your wins. Yeah. It's not a bad thing as long as you don't overdo it.
I can relate to that. I don't get like mad or angry, but like I pay attention to like close friends that tell me like bro, you just fucking did this and that, like you're not happy? I was like, yeah, no, it's cool. And like, bro, you're not fucking like, you're just like whatever. I was like, well, yeah, but the way I see it though is like, yeah, it's a big accomplishment, but it's like, that's not what I want.
Right.
That's nothing compared to where I'm going.
It's just a step.
So it's just like, to me, it's just a small step. But sometimes, even though it's a small step, it actually is a big step. So that they tell me like, bro, you should fucking like give yourself a little bit more credit at least, you know. And I pay attention, but I think at times we do need to give ourselves a little bit more credit.
That's 100% my issue.
But the reason I think we see it like that is because our what we're looking at, it's up here.
Yeah.
And even though we might be right here, but we're up there. So yeah, that's a big milestone. Yeah, like whatever. Like fuck it. I want to keep fucking moving. You know.
You know why I feel like it's a strange place to be, bro, because you don't fit in with certain people who are content, but you still also don't fit in with the people ahead of you. So like you don't fit in nowhere. You're somewhere in the middle still. You know, you're like
you're still building, you're still growing.
You're in no man's land right there.
Exactly.
So it's hard to feel happy when you're still in no man's land. You know what I mean?
100%.
When you have an idea that doesn't quite work like you thought, how do you bounce back from that?
One of my mentors one time said, "Move fast and break things." Like, and I agree. Like, if it don't work, like cut it out. Like, if it doesn't work, cut it out quick and move on. It don't matter if you lost money doing it, whatever you just cut. Like, identify it quick, cut it out quick, and move on. But don't be afraid of that. You know, like if that happens, bro, if you're in business, every single time you're investing money into your business, it's always a risk. Like it may not work. It may not work, and you got to be okay with that. Yep. But at least now you know that doesn't work. Yeah. And don't do it again, and then move forward.
Don't dwell on it.
Just like take the L on the chin, whatever. The way I always look at it is like, it's all good because one day I'm going to make that and more, and it'll be for that loss.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could take an L in a day, in a month, but as long as you keep doing the right thing, it's hard for you to take an L in 2 months, in 3 months. Over the course of the long run, that little L is insignificant to all the wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't pay attention to those L's. And then, like you said earlier, sometimes you could take 100 L's, but then you get that the one big W is like it's fucking 200-300 L's, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and that's all in one time, you know what I mean? But now you got to continue doing your wins and focus on that. But yeah, definitely don't dwell on them L's for sure.
Exactly.
And managing so many people, what's the lesson you've learned with agents?
Man, there's so many. You can't. Every person is different. So if you don't really care about people, it won't work for you. You have to either you have a lot of money where you can just pay people that actually care about people to manage them, or you yourself, if you're not there yet, you gotta still care about them, manage them, work with them, empower them, like, and you gotta get good at that. So you gotta get good at like psychology. You gotta get good at speaking to people, understanding. Like, you gotta get good at like so many different things on a mindset wise, because like. The way I speak with this agent and their issues that they got is not going to be the same way I speak to this person. And then this one might be a guy, and then this one might be a girl. Yeah. So I got to talk to them way differently than I talk to this person right here. You know what I'm saying? Because if I talk to her the way I talk to him, she's going to quit, you know? And I don't want that. So it's learning the differences. And when I was new in the insurance industry, I was too aggressive. I was too cutthroat. I would talk. I would get mad that people weren't like me because I was self-motivated, self-driven.
Not a lot of people are not like that.
Right. Yeah. Most people aren't like that. So I would get upset. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you don't want go get a job. Like,
go work at McDonald's.
Yeah, I would say stuff like that.
And then you hurt their feelings, and then like you said, they end up quitting.
Right.
The way I see that, or the way I do it is like I see them as my kids, because that's exactly what they are. You babying them, you helping them grow and evolve to that supreme person that you want for you. So it's like, it's your kid. What are you gonna do with your kid? Doing the same thing. You want the best from. You're gonna teach them. You're gonna help them, and when they fuck up, you're gonna try to motivate them, and then talk to them different scenarios. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And do you talk to them more one-on-one with agents now, or like groups as well, or both?
Both. It's both. Yeah, like good news is shared with mostly everybody. Good things that they do, I recognize. Like you recognize people in public, but you criticize them one-on-one.
Okay.
Like I'm not gonna tell, like if you did something you shouldn't have done, or like if you made a mistake, I'm not gonna call you out on it in front of everybody, because then like. It's gonna feel. Sometimes there's situations where you might have to do something like that, but for the most part, I realize that it doesn't work. Like they react differently. You know, like they react in a negative way.
Right.
It leads them to hate you.
They feel attacked.
They feel attacked. Whether they say they don't, like their actions show that they do. You know what I mean? So,
And then what helps separate your agency from other competitive agencies?
Everything. No, I'm just kidding. No, and in our reality, I feel like a lot of agencies out there, a lot of agency owners are way too focused on just the money and the profits that they can make right now. So they push certain insurance companies.
More sales. Close.
Like, because we represent with a lot of companies, right?
Yeah. So you have more options for your clients.
But there's certain companies that pay more than others. Usually the ones that pay the most are not the best. That's funny how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of agency owners don't care, and they push that, right? And I never liked that. I never thought that was a good long-term strategy. Because eventually, chances are, these clients are going to figure out they could have got it at a better rate or more value somewhere else. And then they're going to know, hey, wait a minute, you could have put me with this company, but instead you put me with this one? Oh, why'd you do that? That was for a selfish reason. That was a selfish reason. And I don't think you're creating long-term success that way. I think the best thing to do is always the right thing to do. So doing the right thing with your agents is like teaching them good practices, long-term practices is always going to be a big thing. So I'm heavy on that. Number two is we actually like care about our people, right? I actually truly care about my people. And I've been around for a while, 9 years, and I've seen a lot of people fail, agency owners fail. I've seen a lot of them succeed. I've seen a lot of them succeed and then fail. So there's been, and me myself, I made mistakes. You know what I mean? I made a lot of mistakes. So now what I realized is what I told you earlier. When you understand that you're not in the insurance business, but you're in the people business, and you learn how to treat people well, they will then properly run your insurance business.
Right.
I focus heavily on my people. And that's why I have like one of the most loyal agencies you can like think of, because I'm not trying to force my goal on you. If what I want you to be at this level, of course I would, but I want you to be what you want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get the best out of you, but if you're not ready, and I try to overwork you, you're gonna quit, you're gonna leave, you're gonna go somewhere else, right? So I gotta before because I have interests, right? I want to make a certain amount of money. I want to make a certain amount of profit.
Yeah.
But I don't want that so much that I'm willing to sacrifice my agent's relationship and that long-term success plan that we have. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to just be in business for the short term. I want to be in business for the long term.
Yeah.
And eventually, it'll all show who was really building a long-term business. Time always reveals it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So with all the mistakes you've made, do you kind of try and tell your agents about those so they don't make the same ones, or kind of help them get from here to here a lot faster than kind of you have?
Yup, absolutely. I tell agents, like, you should be doing it way faster than I did it. You should get to where I'm at way quicker, because you're getting the secrets that I didn't get.
Right.
You know, I'm telling you exactly what not to do, because you can learn from everybody in two ways: either what to do or what not to do. But you can learn from everybody, and I that's what I try to teach people. And some of them learn, some of them, no matter, like, it's like a kid. You tell them the stove is hot, they still want to go touch it for themselves. Like,
more than one sometimes.
yeah, man. So that's a thing too, but it definitely helps. And sometimes this is what I think: the problems that you, like, especially like in my business, where the people business, right? When you go through certain things, sometimes that may not even be for you, but it's because there's going to be a lot of people that you work with that go through that. And if you don't go through it and overcome it, how the heck can you ever help them?
Teach
Makes
them.
sense.
You know what I mean? So I tell my guys that, and it's like, and they're complaining like that they're going through this, and I'm like, bro, imagine you had agents, right? And they went through that. How are you? And you never went through this, and everything was so perfect for you. You're so perfect. Nobody can relate to anything about you or your story because it was easy for you. It was too perfect.
You can't help them when they get stuck.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, bro. Everything worked out for me.
Yeah.
Like,
So you would say all the setbacks you went through kind of helped you with building a more successful agency with all your agents.
heck yeah, you learn way more from losing than you do from winning.
100%.
Sometimes winning builds your ego and you forget what got you there and stuff like that. So I've seen that happen too. I've even been there before, you know, where,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm especially the first time you achieve certain things at a certain level,
Especially when it's fast.
yeah, you get a certain ego and you're like, damn, you know,
Yeah.
like you think it was really you that did it, but it was really like a lot of other things that helped you get there, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And that can cause some backwards movement.
Yeah, well, I always said, like, if you really build something from scratch, whether you're fucking selling oranges, restaurant, whatever it is, you're going to have to go through problems. Now, if somebody says, oh, I just made it through the top, either one, they're lying, and or two, they made it through the top with no problems, but when shit hits the fan, they ain't going to be able to get back up because it goes back to the same thing. You didn't go through no problems, so you ain't going to know how to fix anything.
They don't learn the lessons.
So there's no way you got to the top without fucking, you know.
They don't learn the lessons.
They learn the lessons.
I've seen that happen in the insurance industry.
Where they just start banging it, and then they're on top, and then fucking shit hits a fan, and they're like,
They get lucky. They
yeah.
get like, I don't want to say lucky because they did something right, but
Right.
they did something right. Like they recruited certain people on their agency, on their team, right, and that helped them get to a certain level. But then those people left
or whatever.
and now that person can't duplicate that success anymore because it was never them. It was
Right.
it was that luck that they landed a big fish, and they never learned how to build or develop a big fish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How to handle it, how to keep people. How do you help somebody with their struggles if you never had to go through it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? It goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't know how to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You don't even know what to say.
Right.
Or you're just like, well, damn.
But
sucks
to
for
say
you.
how to fix it.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. So has there been like, as you're on your way up and having ups and downs, has there been humbling experiences where like, fuck?
Yeah, man, absolutely, 100%. There's just like you'll see other people that you felt like you could have, because I'm competitive, right? I like to compete with other people, and I measure myself up, I size myself up, like especially within my industry. So I'll see certain people at a certain level, and I'll be like beating them, and then I don't know where they pass me, and I'm just like, damn, bro, I'm not as good as I thought I was. You know, like I got to get back to the drawing board. Like something happened here. Like, what's up? Like I let off the gas. Like I'm not mad at them. I'm happy for them. I'm even grateful for that because now
Open your eyes.
I'm like, damn, bro, like we got to improve somewhere. Something's happening.
Puts fire under you. Just
Yeah.
like, okay.
Any setback or loss I've ever take, it always opens my eyes to like change, innovation. We got to do something different. We got to improve somewhere. Like, how do we do it? And one thing that I like to do is I like to ask my agents for a lot of agency owners. They want to be the ones that do it, like call all the shots. Sometimes you got to ask the agents themselves, like, hey, what would you guys want to have that we don't have? What would you guys want?
What would you guys do different? What
do you guys think we could do? We could improve? Because at the end of the day, they're the ones on the front line on a daily basis. They see more of what's really happening than we do. We're over here solving problems. They're over here like conducting business. On the main line. So having like that self-awareness of like, I can't be egotistical and think that only I can call the shot, or if the shot doesn't come from me, then we're not running this play. Like, you can't be like that.
Yeah, no. There's some people out there though.
100%, bro. And you what you will see is they either won't grow, they'll stay the same, or they'll go backwards.
Yeah.
Because they have that ego, like they have to have the power.
Yeah.
Like, how is anybody else going to tell me?
They don't want to evolve. Yeah. Usually I see that happening more like when older people, they don't want to change their old ways and stuff like that.
Even if there's a better way.
Yeah. Even if there's a better way, they can know that it's going to benefit it, but they're just stuck in so much in their ways. They're just like, no, this is how it's always been done. This is how it's going to continue to be done. Well, you got to innovate. You got to evolve.
Yeah, and the people who suffer are the people below them, bro, because...
Holding back.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the podcast.
Cool.
So if there's any piece of advice, whether it's business, life, fitness, what would that one piece of advice be to the audience?
I think one of the biggest things that I like to tell myself and tell everybody is everything affects everything. Everything is connected. So you can't be like half-assing one area of your life and thinking that you're going to excel in one area of your life. You may get away with it for a little bit, but eventually wherever you're lagging somewhere is going to show up in other areas of your life. So you got to make sure that you're trying to develop yourself in many different ways, not just in one area, like your relationships, spiritually, physically, like all these 100%. Areas. You gotta be like, you're either growing in everything or you're gonna be held back by something.
Right.
What I found is a lot of people that have issues in their business, sometimes it isn't in their business, but most of the time it's in a different area of their life, and it's holding them back from growing in their business. And I've seen that so many times, and I think there's not enough people talking about it. So I think I would say something like that.
I agree.
I like that. Just growing all around in your life, becoming an overall better person in all aspects.
Yeah,
that's great advice. Love it.
Yeah, man.
So thank you again for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate sharing your story with us and the audience.
Yep.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you guys for having me.
Perfect.